I'm going to turn it over. Anybody who has a burning desire to ask something, please obstruct me after this next thing. I need to ask, I love how you attribute influence in your writing and your thinking to the black and white movies of the 60s, To Sir with Love, which was a black man going into the city and teaching unruly white kids how to respect themselves and others. And to you, that was punk rock.
Yeah.
That was anarchy.
Yeah.
And you loved John Osborne, and you loved the angry young men of the early 60s.
Yep.
And you had one book in particular, Kes.
Yeah.
What can you say about how that informed how you came into Crass as a songwriter, as a performer? What was it about that genre or about that work that was so inspirational?
I think really for me, all those films and those books were all talking about an injustice, and I didn't really understand. I didn't know anything about politics, but I always had a sense from a very early age of what's right and what's wrong. And it's wrong that some people have lots of money or things to eat or nice things, and I think it's wrong that they can say to people who don't have those things that they can't have those things, kind of thing. And also, and it's not only, I really another film that inspired me was a film called A Taste of Honey, and written by a woman called Sheila Delaney, and it's about a young schoolgirl who has, who gets pregnant by a black sailor, and we're talking about the 60s, really bad news in those days, and then she ends up living with a homosexual, and that really shocked the foundations of British, society. And it's like, oh my God, we can't have this go on. Yeah, but it does go on, And all of those films were talking about, the struggle, and that you don't have to talk with the Queen's accent to have beliefs and stuff. And for me, though, that's what formed my idea of anarchy, was that it ain't right that if you're, because this did go on until bloody hell 1970 something, that to have an abortion was against the law. And it's really unfair, that there were still pubs that said no blacks, and it was all wrong, and that's what all of those songs, all films, all of those books were talking about, and that's why it really struck a chord with me, because I felt it was wrong too.
There must be something in the universe, because when you came over to New York and you played that club, there was the club that wouldn't let the reggae band come in. They had to come in through the back door, the side door.
That stupid prick outside. Yeah.
Yeah, but you were there.
Yeah.
To take on that club and say, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
This is fucked up.
Yeah, there was a reggae band playing with us, they were playing support, and they wanted to take their gear in for the front door, and the old bloke, and he goes, oh, you have to go around the back entrance, and we're like, and I went, why? He went, no, it's all right for you, and I went, yeah, but why? He went, that's that. Because they're black, and he went, oh, we don't use that language, I went, fuck you, well, if they're going in the back, they're going in the back, and it was like a lot of bollocks, because all that reggae band's message was peace and love. I just couldn't believe it, that sort of stuff still, and in fact you still see it in this stuff coming, let's look at it. The year 2011, we've still got a skin problem. What the fucking hell's going on?
Peace and love, anarchy and peace.
Yeah.
That seems to be a paradox with a lot of people who try to understand.
Depends what sort of anarchy it is though, doesn't it?
Well, you say you're not that much into Bakunin.
Really got to
You say you're not that much into Bakunin. You say you don't read. You like the fact that those books are there for reading points, but when it comes down to it, you don't see them as source material.
Well, anarchist books and things about Bakunin and
right.
Fuck you ever read one?
Try it.
No pictures. Right? Some words, and it's like words I don't get.
But what
boring. No, that's not what No, that's not what Look, a kid of 16, you ain't going to get him to read. He don't want to read a book about what the miners did in Portugal in 1912. He wants to see, something that he can, understand, which is like, why are you idiots fighting each other at football matches? And how do you get yourselves together? You find this thing called anarchy, and what's that? Well, then you do this and that, and that's, yeah, sorry. But yeah, that's it. Sorry, I've got bus spin out there.
He's been travelling a lot.
Yeah, 3 days. Whoa.
Thank you for doing this, really. We really appreciate it. Does anybody have something they'd like to ask?
Have do you feel?
Steve, would you like a beer? I would. Yeah.
How do you feel when people approach you, like this point in time now, and ask you for advice or instruction for like midlife old punks or people who want to stay true to their ideals and maybe have faltered?
I never give advice. No, honestly, I never give advice and stuff like that because I don't feel I'm qualified for it. I find it really humbling when people come up and say, you know, Steve, thanks for Crash changed my life and all that. And depending on who the person is, I'll say, I'll joke about it, you know, to cut the ice, and I'll say, "I'll buy me a beer, call it quits," or I'll talk to them about it, you know. I don't know. I can't give advice because I'm just as screwed up as anyone else, you know, and I'm still learning, you know. And I find myself at 53 years old, you know, I'll go down the pub and I'll say something, and you know, the younger barman will come and go, "Oh, Steve, that's a big choice." And I'm like, "Oh, she actually all right." I'm talking like these other idiots in there, so you know, all the time I'm learning, you know. So.
Kurt.
Speaking of drag queens, could you share an anecdote about anti-anxiety?
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
Pete?
Now you met Annie on the streets of New York when you guys came over. Like
Yeah.
she was in a doorway, right?
Yeah,
You just picked her along. She came and visited you at the Dial House.
Yeah, that shocked me. Yeah, no, when I first met Annie, we was in this bar called the Grassroots Bar, and I got a bit drunk, and I thought I'll get some fresh air. So I walked around the block, and I passed this girl. She was sitting there with green hair, and I looked, and I went round the block again, and I came back. She was still there, and I went, I'm English. My name's Steve," and she went, "Oh, I'm Annie." And I went, "Do you want to go and get a beer?" And she went, "Yeah, all right." So she comes in there. Let me try and remember. I was really stoned at the time. I was out getting drunk and stuff. But I think we went in the bar, and then we went back to her place, and she put this crackly old record on. It was something out of Cabaret, you know. She started doing this, and like then we rolled up a spliff. We had that, and she put some opium in it, and then she took me in a cab. We went on the Staten Island ferry, and we're there, and ran around waiting for the ferry to come in, and and there's this woman in just a bra talking to some bloke, and Annie goes up and she goes, "Hi honey, you got any grass we could smoke?" And this woman's going, I'm standing there going, "What's going on?" She goes, "No, I said, do you have any grass you can smoke?" And this bloke turns around and goes, "No, she don't. And guess what else? I'm the man." Bang. Yeah. So, and then we went on Staten Island ferry, and then we came back, went back to, and we've been friends, we've been loving, close friends ever since. Yeah, and she's a great woman, you know, she really is good. Nuts, but great.
Do you know whatever happened to the Rons?
The who?
The Rons. Am I pronouncing it right? Rondes.
Rons? You mean the Rondos?
The Rondos. Yeah, whatever happened to them?
They were really, do you know what? People used to say Crass are a really miserable bunch of people. Well, when they came to play, I've never met they out-crassed Crass in the miserable department. They were so fucking miserable.
They never smiled.
Never. Not once when they were there. Oh, one bloke, but he weren't in a band. He was their sort of roadie thing. Right? The rest of them, fucking really staunch Marxists, I think. I didn't know. And did this gig, and it was a full-scale riot. It was the Conway Hall gig where it all kicked off and all this. And as far as I know, a couple of them got into bank robberies or something, I don't know, to fund the Marxist thingy. I don't know, I really sort of, I don't care. I'm fucking hell. Look, if you go in a pub, you want to laugh with people, you don't want to, oh shit, anyway, yeah, move on. No, I don't know what happened to them.
It's alright. The thing is that Crass put out so many different records. I was a fan of Poison Girls, and I loved so many different bands. And
yeah.
Do you ever talk to Vi at all?
No, but I'm trying to get in touch with her at the moment because there's this festival in Holland that I've been invited to. I was allowed to choose 10 acts, and I was thinking, I'd really like Vi to do something. But I know she's had a bad time with rheumatoid arthritis, and I'm not being funny, but she's getting on a bit. So I don't know if she's going to make it over there. I don't know if she'll get in touch. But no, I've got a lot of time for her as well, you know. I mean, I always feel knocked out because I was round there, you remember that track piano lessons? And I was round her house, they lived near Crass, and this old mansion in Story, they built a motorway. But I was round there, right, and she was washing up the sink like this, so I remember it, and she went, "Yeah, I've got this new song, Steve," and it sort of goes, "We are having piano, we are having piano," passed me the thing, I was wiping up like this, and I know that sounds really good. Quite a little moment. Yeah. I'm full of trivia.
Well, thank you with the Crass Records helping out to bring those and answering all that fan mail and all that stuff. The Crass, the epitome of DIY.
It wasn't the Crass, it was Crass.
Sorry. It was the epitome of DIY. Basically, you were answering so much fan mail, and you had a couple people in the band putting out zines themselves. You had like the Eclectic from Andy.
Yeah.
Did you write for any of those? You
No.
gave tons of interviews, though.
Yeah, I didn't talk a lot, because Penny Rambo used to do it. No, the Eclectic, that was Andy Palmer and a bloke called Simon Stockton, and it was their artworky thing, and no one else could really get involved in it. International Anthem, the one that G did, yeah, I wrote a couple of things, and it wasn't deemed the right thing to put in there.
Okay, very quick. I need to ask though. Did you ever try to edit Penn on his lyrics when you were singing? Because they were long fucking lyrics. And
Look, believe me,
you sound great. But.
Look, there's a song that we do tonight, and to this day, I still don't fit the lyrics in. And I'm not going to say which one it is because you'll be standing there waiting for it, you bastards. But you know, if you listen to something like Reality Whitewash, then it goes really fast at the end. Oh God, and there's just no. And Penn used to write these things. And he'd go, Steve, I've got this line, and it goes, grey man at wheel, yeah, or it's tiring moments, fucked up minds, empty faces, eyes that are blind, flick through the paper, yeah, right, and it goes, tiring moment, fucked up mind, and it's just this, I'm just girding on stage like a fucking dimwit, so that's how I edited Penny Rambo's. I didn't sort of cross words out, I just sort of, just don't say them. Yeah, I'll do the F and the C bits, but that's about it.
I'm slowly pushing to a question I want to ask, which is:
come on, let's have it.
You're thinking of doing a spoken word tour.
Yeah,
you're thinking of coming out and telling some craft stories. Is that shaping up?
Yeah, I'm going to get this thing done, this Last Supper tour done first, and then I'm going to take some time off. But what I want to do is I like to do a spoken word thing, but I'd like it to be, I'll have some very simple stage props. So it's more like watching a drama or like a little play or something, and I'll have maybe a keyboard and a bass in it, so there's like music going. So it's not just me standing on stage with visuals and with nice lighting and things. So yeah, it's like watching a play, and I'll be talking about me and what I've done, and yeah, I'll be talking about anecdotes from press and stuff. But then I'll do that for the first half, and then the second half, then I'll open it up to a question and answer thing, because I know that even after this tour, there's still going to be thousands of people all over the place who want to ask me questions about press, and I've got to do it, and that's a real. I mean, Yona, my partner, she gets a bit annoyed because I get a sore throat from singing, right? But I also get a sore throat because I spend so much time talking to people and hanging out. But I can't help it because my thing is, look, if people have bothered to buy one of my records, or if they've bothered to come out, to see one of my gigs, the least I can fucking do is give them 5 minutes of my time to say hello and answer questions and have a beer together. And I think, and anyone who's in a fucking band, I don't care how big you are, bring your security, but fucking talk to us.
Well,